Look, pretty much everyone's been ugly at some point in their life, whether it was during their childhood, their teenage years, or any time past that. League of Legends is no different. Even though these days, League has some super good-looking champions, there was a time when Riot Games used to cook up some really questionable stuff. Today we'll talk about the top 10 ugliest champions in League history. So let's get into it. Number 10, Yorick. Sometimes what's dead and forgotten should stay buried. And that's exactly the case with old Yorick. His kit was actually kind of dope, but bro, his appearance was straight up cursed. Like zero appeal, no one would want to play this guy. You know the Hunchback of Notre Dame? Yeah, now imagine him but decayed and rotting, with a little weird hop when he walks. Number 9, Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser isn't just terrifying and cruel, he also used to be ugly as hell. His proportions made no sense. He didn't even look like a soul trapped inside of an empty armor. It just felt off. If you zoomed in on his face, you could literally see a mouth under the helmet. Like, why? But bro, that's not even the worst part. Look at his legs and feet. My guy was built like an elephant. Number 8, Pantheon. This one's brutal. His biggest enemy wasn't even the aspects of Targon, it was himself. If you check out Archives's in-game model today, it's obvious that the dude's tall, but back then, man, Pantheon looked like one of those short uncles at the bar whose feet are swollen from drinking too much. Number 7, Dr. Mundo. Besides calling you a big sissy,
Mundo think you a big sissy.
old Dr. Mundo was stuck with this one weird bugged out animation where he was licking an imaginary ice cream cone. And the funniest part, he looked like one of those guys who only work out their upper body at the gym while chugging way too much juice. Number 6, Sion. Not even the dead are safe on this list, and Sion is one of them. Now here's the thing, even though his first version was ugly, I mean straight up horrifying, his look actually fit the lore perfectly. Sion was a vicious warlord used as a battering ram during Noxian invasions. He got sent right to the front lines to smash through enemy defenses, and he did it with zero hesitation. Cruel in battle, careless in survival, until Demacian troops finally executed him. Dude literally lost his head, if you know what I mean. His remains got hauled back to Noxus by Katarina, and with dark magic, they brought him back. Honestly, after Riot's policy shifts, and especially after Tencent bought them, I doubt they'll ever make a champ or even a skin again with exposed bones or anything like that. Just look at Zombie Rise. Back in the day, he was terrifying. Now, calling that thing a zombie feels like an insult. And yeah, back then both the lore and the gameplay weren't as censored as they are now. Just take a look at this random Jax skill. It has more blood than all of today's Vladimir skills combined. Number 5, Trundle. Another champ whose disgusting look actually matched his lore. See, Trundle wasn't always an ice troll. Back then, trolls in Runeterra were seen as sneaky, savage, cannibalistic creatures that lived in dark corners of Valorant. But there was this one tribe, the Rugshock, that was a little more civilized. A necromancer called Bonecrafter tried to enslave them, but when he got driven out, he cursed them with a leprosy-like disease that rotted their skin forever. Thanks to troll regeneration, they didn't die, they just kept rotting. A shaman figured out the curse could be contained in a single troll. Then Trundle was born, and his healing was insane. Like, he didn't have the disease. When he grew up and realized he could take the burden for his people, he accepted it. Through a painful ritual, the curse was transferred to him. His flesh would constantly rot and fall off, only to grow back again in a never-ending cycle. Number 4, Nunu. Even kids and magical beings make the list. Who remembers old Nunu and Willem? Sure, Willem looked like an abominable snowman or Bigfoot, but that Nunu? There's no excuse for how bad he looked. He wasn't horrifying because of gore like Trundle's. No, he was just plain ugly. Look at that arm. It's like he didn't even have bones, just stretched out flesh. And that hood? It made him look like some weird Christmas elf with a scruffy beard. Straight up nightmare fuel. Number 3, Heimerdinger. Pretty much everyone loved Heimerdinger in Arcane, but would you still love him if he looked like this? That massive head of his was the result of him experimenting on himself. Already a genius with 3 doctorates, he was a big name in Piltover thanks to his advancements in techmaturgy. However, he wanted to unlock more of his brain so he could multitask even better. The result? This horror show. His brain grew so much that it basically became his head. Reminds me of that SpongeBob episode where he cuts his own head into a new shape until it's just his brain with a face. Number 2, Urgot. Pretty much unanimously considered the ugliest champion Riot Games has ever made. Urgot held that crown for a long time, but on this list, he's gonna take a second place. That's because, just like Sion and Trundle, his absolutely disgusting and repulsive appearance actually matches perfectly with his lore. Like Sion, Urgot used to dive headfirst into battles for Noxus, bringing chaos wherever he went. But because of that, he ended up with some insanely severe injuries. His body just couldn't handle it anymore. to the point where Urgot was basically crippled. He could barely walk, and his hands were completely destroyed. So Noxus pulled him off the front lines and gave him a title of High Executioner, pretty much turned him into official headsman. But since he couldn't exactly swing a sword or an axe, they strapped these giant scythes to his arms instead. Because of his past service in the Noxian army, Urgot, as an executioner, would travel with Noxian forces into foreign lands to carry out judgments. Basically, Jarvan IV and some soldiers ended up getting ambushed by Urgot's division. Not wanting to risk transporting the prince back to the capital to execute him, Urgot decided to just do it right there on the spot. Everything was ready for the execution, but right at the last second, Garen showed up leading a group of the Dauntless Vanguard and straight up sliced Urgot in half. Dude, it was so out of nowhere. Literally like Trunks versus Frieza. Because of his years of service to the army, Urgot was still honored for his dedication. His remains were sent to a shadow academy in Noxus, but there was one huge problem. Unlike Sion's remains, which were still in a somewhat usable state, Urgot's body was so trashed that necromancers couldn't even reanimate it. They tried like crazy, racking their brains over his catastrophic scraps, but nothing worked. That's when a scholar connected to Noxus, Stanwyck P. Diddley, offered a solution. Basically, he built Urgot a brand new body using techmaturgy in his lab, turning him into something half man, half machine. And man, look at this disgusting thing Urgot became. This is straight up monstrosity. His patchwork skin and sewn together, already looking dead, with that gross skin tone. And then you've got this oversized, overweight body crammed into machinery just to keep him moving. And there was something kind of funny about him too. In Urgot's spotlight video, you can see that Riot actually tried using some tech to give his belly physics. If you look closely, his fat rolls jiggle up and down while he dances or jumps around. Kinda like how devs sometimes add extra detail to certain parts of certain characters. And this wasn't even something new for that time, but with Urgot, it almost felt like Riot was starting to pay more attention to little details like that, since most champions back then looked super stiff and anatomically cursed. Not that watching Urgot's belly fat jiggle around on the screen wasn't already disturbing enough. And let's be honest, his appearance didn't get any better when he got his second splash art. Like a bunch of other outdated champs, the art even showed details that didn't exist on his in-game model at all. And if you're thinking, well, at least in his skins, Urgot must have looked a little less ugly and gross, the answer is no. He actually looked even worse. Check out Krabby Urgot, the giant enemy skin. It's just an even uglier Urgot dragging some blonde woman down into the depths. People even joked it was Lux, which would have made some sense considering Urgot's hatred for Garen. But nope, it was just some random generic character. Honestly, a splash like that today would probably spark huge controversy and get censored immediately. Even though I'm pretty sure it was a reference to the classic creature from the Black Lagoon movie. And if that wasn't ugly enough, take a closer look at his actual in-game model. But wait, it gets worse. Butcher Urgot is proof of that. Riot really knew how to make nightmare fuel back then. If you haven't noticed, that skin straight up turns Urgot into Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's all there. Someone else's stitched on face acting as a mask, a bloody butcher's apron, and instead of his usual claw harpoon, he's rocking a chainsaw. And the animation for when he used his ability, dude, it even made the actual sound of a chainsaw revving while it shot out. And here's a cool little Easter egg. In the background of that skin splash art, there's a sign that says manatee meat 50% off, which is a reference to Urf. It's even possible that Urf's actual carcass was hanging back there too, since his skin had been removed by Warwick, the one who'd killed him. And number one, rocking the crown as the ugliest champion in old school League, we've got the one who descended from the celestial realm to live among mortals, guiding them and sacrificing herself to help anyone who needed it. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the one and only Soraka. I don't think a rework has ever been more deserved than this one. Seriously, props to whoever pulled this off, because turning a full-on demon from the deepest layer of hell into an angel, only a miracle could do that. Seriously, if that was supposed to be a divine being, I don't even want to know what their demons look like. Old Soraka was so ugly. If you stood her next to Vel'Koz, you'd think she came from the void instead of him. So yeah, she's our queen of ugliness. Thanks for watching the video, and see you in the next video. Come on, did you really think on a list of League's ugliest champion, I'd skip the most horrendously cursed thing Riot has ever unleashed? Deep in Riot's basement lives an entity feeding off all the toxicity of the community. I'm talking about Lollipop Poppy, released October 19th, 2010. Bro, what even is this? It's like an Oompa Loompa and some creepy old mascot had a kid. Just look up fan edits of her, terrifying. And here's her in-game model, straight up nightmare fuel. So yeah, remember, Lollipoppy is always watching. See you in the next video.